I think it's important that you do set realistic goals simply because if you set goals that aren't realistic, you're going to have these expectations. And I really feel that disappointment lies in between what you expect and what's real. So in terms of fat loss, what is to be expected? I know a lot of times they throw around, you can lose 1 to 2 pounds of fat each week. And there is some merit to that, but it really falls more on a percentage of one's body weight rather than an absolute number of, let's say, 1 to 2 pounds. If you have someone, using an example of a 200-pound person, I think 2 pounds is extremely realistic. But if you've someone who weighs maybe 130 to say 2 pounds, at least in a sustainable way, is not as realistic. Kind of a guide that I use with clients. I look at things in terms of, do we want it to be comfortable? Do we want it to be perhaps reasonable, or are we looking at something that might be a little more aggressive? And by aggressive, I mean, can it be achieved? Yes. Is it something that you're probably going to be able to sustain long term? The answer more than likely is no. So really, when I'm working with clients, I want us to take this comfortable approach. And for fat loss, that is somewhere between 0.5% and 1% of one's body weight. So trying to keep the math simple, again, using the example of someone that weighs 200 pounds. If they're losing 1 to 2 pounds per week, I think that's a great thing. But I also want people to understand that it's not going to be linear, meaning like this perfect line. I liken it a lot to the stock market, that weight loss or muscle gain, whatever it is, it's more like the stock market in that you're going to have these peaks, you're going to have valleys. And in the moment when we're in those valleys, we feel like this isn't working, or we get frustrated, we throw our hands up. No, pull back. When we look at the stock market, yeah, we have your bear and your bull markets, but it's one where if we pull back, the market has always gained. And that's what I want people to understand, is that we're always gaining, even if you've got these moments. And oftentimes a client can, if they looked back and they were being honest with themselves, they can see why they may have gained a little bit of weight or why they're not losing. I don't want to say a lot of times, but sometimes it is simply your body is like, it's in a way rebelling. You are hitting this actual plateau where things need to change, but so often it's what we're doing, behaviors. But just kind of going back to the point of, for what's comfortable is about 0.5 to 1%. If we're moving more into that reasonable 1 to 1.5%, and then we get into that 1.5% of body weight and more, again, typically not sustainable. And I also caution too, if you start losing more than about 1% of your body weight, it's likely that you're actually sacrificing lean muscle. And as I've talked before and shared before, and will continue to share, that you do not want to lose lean muscle mass. You want to hold on to that as long as you can. You want to build as much of that as you can. So in terms of realistic goals, that's what I look like in terms of fat loss. On the strength side, it's a lot less. Think about, give or take, I'd say it takes about 4 times as long to gain muscle as it does to lose fat. So when a client talks about, yeah, I'm sure I've traded muscle for fat, it's probably not this 1-to-1 ratio that's going on. So, I often will have to tell someone, hey, listen, you may be putting on muscle, but your goal is fat loss. And that's far more achievable than putting on lean muscle mass. So let's, get back in and make sure that we're working the program as well as we can. Because with muscle gain, it is much harder. And if someone's an experienced exerciser, it becomes even that much harder. Like newbies, there's something called newbie gains, to where I get clients that when they first start working with me, yeah, they actually do put on muscle relatively easy and they lose fat a little more easily, but those are short-lived. And so helping clients understand that, of establishing those expectations. And a big part going back to letting them understand that even if more than likely, they're not going to do everything perfectly. They are going to have those weekends. They're going to have those holidays. They're going to have those days where they kind of fall off the program. Well, you can't really catch up. It's a matter of, okay, when that happens, don't sweat it. Wipe the slate clean. Give yourself some grace. Show yourself some compassion. Get back on it. Get back to doing the things you need to do. But understand we've probably stretched out the timeline or the deadline in which you can achieve that. Still achievable. You're still going to do it. But hey, this has happened. It is what it is. Let's get back at it. Let's not try to catch up. Let's pick up and we'll keep moving forward.